All right, we're gonna get going. We're gonna be doing some live coding today, so it should be cool. Just making sure the levels are right. So we're gonna be doing some live coding along with Cursor. So I'll kind of give you guys a quick briefing on what Cursor can do for you. So, what's up, people? So right now, what you're looking at is my IDE. I have Cursor up. So I've been using Cursor pretty exclusively for the last couple of months just to kind of really test it out, see how well it is, see if it really holds up to the demand of coding that I do. And I have to say it's been a really good assistant, a really good sort of like blank page starter. Composer is another feature in there, and chat. So essentially, it allows for you to like communicate with your entire code base, like as you're coding out, and like it will recommend solutions for you, help you work through problems. Composer will literally just execute all of the code changes that it determines as makes sense based on what features you're looking for. So you can select which model you want to use. I normally go with Claude Sonnet 3.5. So what I'm working on right now is, well, let me kind of show you guys that too. Um, uh, let's see. So I've been trying to, and I'll see how this kind of goes, but I have this other uh, screen up on OBS, which is like vertical, but I kind of feel like it's a bit cumbersome to try to do vertical in this at the same time when I can just literally just crop the video vertically when I need to, when that time comes. So I just haven't really found a good enough use case for this, but I'll see how that goes. I'll see if it's worth the hassle. Cause like even right now, I'm thinking like, let's see, let's see how that comes up. I want to do this. All right, so we're gonna do main. Okay, and then I just want to pop that up. So what you're looking at right now is this is the app that I have deployed using this code base. So I found this cool service called ShipFast, which essentially gives you access to a Next.js code base that you can kind of play around with. I come from the Node.js background, full stack developer. I've worked with Node.js, React, Vue, Postgres databases. Next.js is essentially another JavaScript library that helps with essentially like the organization of all of your files and how your app is going to react. So it's mostly server side. I can maybe even do a video on that on like the differences that I do see there, and if I feel like it's something that has been worth it for me. Um, I can't say that I can't say that I've seen a huge difference. Or let me say that not that I haven't seen a huge difference, just that I haven't seen one where it's like drastically change my view on how I normally like to go about building my apps. Like I said, I normally use Node.js for the front end, back end, Express for the middleware, Postgres for the database, React on the front end, and I'm comfortable doing a lot of the routing myself and like the connection between my front end and accessing the API. And it seems like Next.js is trying to really like handle all of that for you. And while I think it's definitely useful, and I think that there's some benefits there, there are some things where it's just like I much rather know what's going on underneath the hood. But I've been trying out ShipFast; it's been really good. So they have a whole community where you can kind of just like it helps you essentially just like get your application up and running so that you can just like get your business off the ground, get your SaaS service out the ground. They got a lot of integrations in there, so we're working with that, and I'm just kind of like toying around with it, seeing how I like it. So this is the first project that I've sort of done with them. So I'll just quickly kind of just show you uh, what the product looks like right now, and just kind of give you an insight on what it is that I'm building. So let me actually do this. It's on localhost, but I'm gonna switch the URL. So, and the reason why we're getting this message is because I'm using a service called ngrok. I actually found it as I was building out this whole service. So essentially, like it lets me like stream my local host development to accessible URL. And the reason why I needed to do that is because you'll see down the road is that I'm actually accessing Facebook API, and they do not allow you to access their API unless you are using a secure site. So let me do one other thing too. I have to go ahead and update something. I have to, which is a bit of annoying, but whatever. I have to essentially, every time you spin up a new nrock instance, you have to add that instance to your what am I looking for? You have to add that instance to your Facebook app so that it knows to communicate with it. And I'm still just getting comfortable and getting familiar with a lot of the settings in Facebook. When you're creating a Facebook app, that essentially lets people connect their Facebook account to your app. And again, I'm going to walk through and show you guys exactly what we're doing there in a second and why it's needed. So, okay, cool. So that's that. It's there now. So again, don't mind this, what you're seeing right now. This is essentially like, I just still haven't, this is like dummy. And this is what I actually, maybe I might even, if I can get to it today, I want to like just update this whole landing page. But this is what ShipFast gives you, a lot of this stuff out of the box, like a quick way to kind of just like put together a real quick, straightforward landing page. And they even have like a community where they show you, no, we don't want this. They have a community where they show you other people who have used ShipFast as the foundation and then built on top of it, and kind of like what some of their sites look like. And pretty cool stuff. Actually, maybe I'll go through that too at some point. Yeah, I'll go through that too. ShipFast. Well, pull it up here. I should be logged into GitHub. So while I pull this up, so essentially, like I said, this is just like a dummy landing page that I want to, I'll do more with once I push this live. which isn't there yet. All right, guys, bear with me while I get set up. Okay, so all right. Where are they at? Documentation. Okay. So maybe I can add it like this. Yeah, so now you guys see it. You don't. Okay, so this is just like this is essentially is their tutorial page on like how to get started with their code base and all the different, they help sure that your site is SEO monetized or optimized. It comes baked in with Google Auth, Magic Links, which has been a nice thing because I've built authorization from the ground up in other places, and that can be a headache. So, kind of having that built in pretty quickly is a nice piece. They have a header component for you, testimonial component. So all the things that you might want to add to your site, these components are already baked into the app. Like once you spin it up. So, and then this is like their site and all that. I want to show you guys like press L. They have like a leaderboard that shows people who have used Launch ShipFast to build their site, like I was saying, and then they show you like if you tie your Stripe account. I haven't registered this because I haven't pushed it live, but if you tie your Stripe account to this leaderboard, it then will let you essentially like see, it gives you, it's like a gamification of people who are, it's a really cool community. I really like what they're doing here. It's definitely helping people get off the ground, get into coding, or if you already experienced coder, get stuff out faster. So I think it's a pretty cool thing. And like I said, I'm going to keep toying around with it and just playing around with it. So let's get to what I'm doing with it. So like I said, this is just a dummy landing page. I'll clean that up at some point. What I'm doing with I think I'll touched on it on this channel, but what I'm doing with this service, and I'll just create a brand new user. Please don't do that. Live tests at bagverse.com. So I'm just going to create a brand new user and just kind of walk you guys through what this app is aiming. This is what I'm building. The foundation is what it's going to be and what its purpose will be. So just kind of like back up. Bagverse is a service that I'm building, and essentially it's going to be a combination of SaaS tools for small businesses or creators or developers to help either monetize their business, improve their workflows, different tools and different skill sets that just will help them do things better. Then I also will have like an educational side where I want to get more people into learning the ins and outs of developing and getting products off the ground and breaking into the space. So it's really early on. As you guys are on the channel, you guys are probably seeing it for yourself, but that is the focus point for Bagverse. So with this first sort of like, I guess we can call it attempt at building, just getting the first version of this off the ground, one of the features that I thought would be pretty cool is a tool that allows either a small business or anyone who runs any kind of Instagram account. You're familiar with, like, you want to get more in tune with how people are responding to your content, and you normally will go to the comment section. But like right now, it's pretty surface level what you'll be able to do with that data. Like you can just either see, hey, people left a good comment, let me respond. People left a horrible comment, let me either block them or ignore them or whatever the case may be. But I have experience with sentiment analysis, topic analysis, and extracting insights from textual content. And I wanted to apply that same logic to the comment section as a way to help businesses or whoever has that account understand more, get a deeper understanding of like how people are responding to their content, maybe spot any trends, maybe see how they can follow up with their community, just kind of do a whole lot more there. So we've done a little bit of that for some other clients, and I have a more like robust solution there. But I wanted to, I'm in the process of launching a custom GPT, which will kind of mimic a little bit of that functionality quicker, right? So this will give people a glimpse of what they can do if they come to Bagverse directly or become more of a ingrained customer of Bagverse, right? So, and I've been pleasantly surprised with like ChatGPT's custom GPTs, that marketplace that they're building out. I'll even just pull it up now. As I have, this is my second custom GPT that I have in the marketplace. So you see, I already have one that's out there, and this is around my Curation Lounge platform, which I think I did a video last week. But so this is the Deep Instagram Post Insights GPT. I'll probably change the name at some point, but essentially how it works is you request to analyze comments from some posts on your site, and you then would have to come to the Bagverse site to authorize your Facebook account for us to pull that data and then bring it to ChatGPT so it can do the visualizations. And so I'll kind of walk through that flow. So first, let me do this. A little bit of housekeeping stuff. So in ChatGPT, when you're building a custom GPT, you have to, and you want it to communicate with a backend service, you have to directly update the action in GPT so that it knows where to communicate with that service at. Kind of similar to what I had to do on the Facebook side too. So, and like I said, I only have to do this because I am using this ngrok service while I'm locally developing. But once this is ready for production, then I wouldn't have to make these changes every time I spin up the service. So I just made that change. So let's do this. Okay, so now you guys are back here. So now let's kind of test this out, right? So okay, so how can I engage and then, so it's going to show you, it's going to give you step by step, like how to go ahead and use our service. So it'll tell you like what it's going to do once it gets its data back, and kind of like give you an outline of like how this custom GPT is going to react and what it will do for you essentially. So now it's telling you have to now visit Bagverse. That link will send you here, what we just went through when you created a user, and then you come here, and then now you have to connect your Facebook account. Connect my Facebook, and now it should work. Or maybe I need to refresh my page. No, it worked. Okay, so reconnect. So I think that's just Brave just complaining about something. Okay, so once you now actually connect your Facebook, then you'll get presented with a list of the Instagram accounts that are tied to your Facebook account, your Facebook business account, and then you would select the account you want to analyze the post from. So, okay, that shouldn't happen. Already off to a fun start. Okay. Let's now go over to my code and see why we're getting that error. And that actually, this is probably a good thing because I can start to show you guys like the ways that I've used. So, okay, now it worked, but I'll go back to that. So now just will show you all the posts that have been created for this Instagram account. And then here is where you would go and start selecting which posts you want to have analyzed. So you can select, I probably need to put a cap on this, but for right now, I'm just letting people go ahead and select as much. These are ones that I already know have some comments there. And then once you select the post that you want, this will be you will have to pay to play here essentially. So right now I'm just gonna, let me see something. I think you say your price, at least $10. So let's put $10. And then it's going to take you to the Stripe checkout page. So on the back end, it's going to take that payment and then now give this user access to essentially what the site does is that, and this is something that I'll work, hopefully I have time to walk through fixing, but it should have brought you back to the post that you selected. It didn't, and it should have retained the post that you selected, but essentially now you have access to the tool. So now when you go down to the link, you can copy it. You don't have to pay. So you take this link, then now we would go back to ChatGPT, and then now you can communicate with the backend API that we've built, which is going to take in that link. This link contained your Facebook identifiers and which posts you want to have analyzed, and now our backend service is going to take that and process the posts. So essentially, what we did is we pulled in your data into our service, and then now we massaged it and we did some calculations on top of it. Then we sent it to GPT and told ChatGPT to now analyze it and present it to you and add another layer of analytics on top of it, and that sentiment analysis, topic analysis, things of that nature. Fix that. So while we let that, let's see what comes up next. So now it's going to ask you, okay, it went through each post that you selected. We selected 3 posts. So this is just surface level, right? So this is the same stuff that you could have gotten from Meta directly, right? So now there's where the fun part gets. Okay, so would you like to visualize this data, analyze audience sentiment analysis, provide recommendations? So we're going to say yes to everything, right? Okay, so now it's going to take that it's going to, remember we sent it all this data to do something with. So now it's going to essentially take all of that. I don't know why the hell it has. I don't even know what that is. I didn't realize that. Payment methods. Yeah, remove this now. Okay. Okay, so back here, so now we've seen that it did some analysis on each one of these posts. So here's engagement rate per post, and it organized it through by the date. Here's reach versus total interaction. So we see that we're getting some, increase there. Total video plays per post, pretty cool. Visualizations, again, sentiment analysis. So this is again a little bit a level deeper because it's telling us, all right, how are people? What's the overall sentiment? So positive in the comments, people are feeling pretty. They're giving you positive sentiments here and letting you know that they like what you've been putting out there. Double down on high engagement content, so it also will give you some recommendations. And then now since this data is in ChatGPT, we can do things like pair my content to trends in the digital marketing space. So now you can kind of you can essentially, and this is always just the cool thing about LLMs and tools such as a ChatGPT or tools that I'm building, is that you can now take your data and you can communicate with it with other data on the internet. So it just puts you in a different place to where now, you're essentially like being able to build and see how your data stacks up to other data that's on the internet. So yeah, this is how the tool works right now. As you saw, there were a couple of bugs that we need to address here. So but by and large, this is how it works. And then so now that you've paid, so now you can always kind of come back to this site, and if you want, you can change accounts. And then now let's go ahead and select the Curation Lounge account. And so those are my two separate businesses. And then now, you can take a look at one of these. Like I said, because you already made that one payment, now you can just copy that link and you can come right back into here. And then, you can specify it if you want, but you don't really have to. Here is a link to another post from a different business account I own that is dedicated to e-commerce tooling, we'll say e-commerce tools, and then you give it the link. Seems like my computer isn't charging. Or again, like I've just noticed such a big difference now that I'm normally on a Mac Mini, the M4. Like the difference is just night and day. My computer is still the MacBook is holding up. It's an Intel processor, but I definitely see the difference. So now it's going to create a new call to the backend service that we have built. Looks like the request to analyze your e-commerce tools count filled invalid API key. Interesting. Let's try that again. Everything looks the same. Should be the same. I don't know why that came up. Let's try it one more time. I'm wondering if because I had text with the link. Yeah. Sometimes custom GPTs, they can act a little funny. And that's obviously the difference between if you build your own tooling, you're using sort of this like, it's kind of like a wrapper around data. So, I believe that ChatGPT has plans to help monetize the marketplace. So we'll see kind of like where that goes. But yeah. I just need to remove that totally. I don't know why that was there. Um, late, late, late. Yeah. Um, One of the things about live coding is, yeah, okay. So for this one, it told us kind of like, again, just the surface level metrics, and just like kind of help reorganizing it. Because if you have any experience with Meta's dashboard, it's not the best. It can be kind of cumbersome. And this, again, it did sentiment analysis, so the comments are mostly positive. Topics to kind of think of: positive energy and hype-driven comments, business opportunity discussions in the replies, comparison to digital marketing trends, your e-commerce content aligns well with key industry trends. So again, like you can kind of like at least start some high-level analysis. And again, we'll say yes to everything because we want to see what the charts look like and kind of like give us some competitor insights and recommendations for best content to create. So, really lightweight tool that people can use to kind of like get closer to their data. And I'm going to, so the coding side here today is there's a couple of bugs that you guys obviously just saw that I want to fix up. So let's now dig into some code. So, I'll move that there, or no, I'll keep this there. So what you see here, like we said, this is cursor. I'll make this smaller. This is cursor. So cursor is essentially, it is VS Code with new extensions and new capabilities that the cursor team built on top of VS Code. VS Code is an IDE for Microsoft. I've been using it for many years now. It's definitely one of the more, I would say, state-of-the-art IDEs for more modern languages. But I believe they support all languages at this point. But I know JavaScript, Python, TypeScript, C Sharp. There's just tons of different languages that VS Code supports. So Cursor is built on top of that. I believe they support Java as well. You can pretty much code anything that you need in VS Code, SQL, everything is in there. So, so how I like to do it is I use a chat more than the composer. So the composer essentially will go off and just like execute things for you. It will like it won't even it will check to see if that's what you wanted, but for the most part, it'll go off and just say, "Hey, this is what I think makes sense, and this is what I'm going to go off and go execute." So that's what the composer will do now. Whereas chat, you have a conversation with like, "Hey, we can do something like, all right." So some of the things that one of the things that I have noticed with this implementation that I have right now is that I kind of like when I first started this, I feel like I created some pages that weren't needed or some routes. Maybe I go into that right now. Let me see. What does that do for you guys? Yeah, you still see it, whatever. So what I noticed is that I had like, this is by accident. I think one of the things that I will say is that in coming from a person who's coded for years for their, entire career, is that once you kind of like concede some of the control to AI, it can be a little bit like off-putting because you don't really know. You can see what they were going to implement, but because you didn't code it out yourself a lot of times, like you kind of forget what was done. So that is a mental thing that you kind of like have to get used to. And like you also have to be aware that, hey, you know, make sure that you can always go back and make changes and correct. It's a bit of hand holding that I've noticed with these tools. But I had created a success page, which essentially handles it handles uh, after you've connected your Facebook account um, to uh, after you've connected your Facebook account to Backverse, then it essentially says, okay, we got that connected account. Now let's show you your posts. And I have a separate page, which is the dashboard page, which what I was showing you guys this whole time. And those two things just don't really, they should just be the same thing. And I think that's why we saw that error early on. So what I'm want to do is consolidate them essentially. So let me show you guys one of the cool things that I like to use in Cursor, right? So like let's say this isn't a new code base to me, but let's say this was a new code base to you and you aren't familiar with like where everything is at and what was done. You can do something like this. Can you give me explain to me the differences between success page and dashboard page, and let me know how I can consolidate them into dashboard so that to clean up the code base. So what you do here is you want to do, so you see they have either submit, I think you guys can probably see that. It's either submit or code base. So now when you just hit submit, it's only going to look at the file that you added here in the context to sort of like make that change on. Whereas if I do a command enter, it's going to look at every single file in the code base. So this is a really cool way to kind of just like get up to speed with what you have done and what the current code base looks like. And then you see it goes off. I'm using Claude Sonnet 3.5, which I just believe to be the best for many tasks, but especially coding. So here it gives you, I like the chat feature because it's more of a conversational thing, and I can see if their recommendation makes sense, then I'll go ahead and do it. If it doesn't, I'll just say, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, and I'll just go code it out myself. So let's see here. So it handles the initial account selection and post selection after Facebook authentication, handles the main dashboard view for returning users flow, success page, right? Determine if we should, okay. Okay, focuses on initial account setup, first time post selection, payment handling, dashboard page. So it gives you like a really good understanding of what's going on in the code base, which to me is really, that's a feature that I think is really, really cool. Cause like I've been in situations where you join a new company, you start a new project for a client, they already have existing code. You have to do that cumbersome process of going through each piece of the code base and figuring out what the hell were they doing, why were they doing it, how do I, a lot of times the onboarding process, especially at a new company, like it can take you at least a good month just to get up to speed with, just to get at a good point where you can now start contributing, at least a good month just to get up to speed. So I can definitely see this like streamlining that and making it easier, right? So here's some recommendations that they give. Create a unified dashboard flow. Yeah, I think everything should be in a dashboard page. Consolidate the content components, payment status. So key benefits of consolidating entry point, unified state management. Right. So here is where you can now start. Let's say I wanted to actually like apply this, I would hit that and it would apply to the page. But I'm not entirely sure I want to go with what they recommended, because here's what I have noticed with Cursor is that it can start to hallucinate and it can start to just like make really bad recommendations, and then you kind of start going down a rabbit hole. But the difference between like your rabbit hole and using Cursor's rabbit hole is that they might change like 4 different files and you just have no clue which file caused that issue. So I would be very aware of that and just do a good job. I think a flow that I'm going to get started in is that like anytime I apply a change from cursor, I'm going to commit that, and so I can go back to how it looked before that change. So, so if we see here in this Facebook login page, I am pushing. So this is a recent update that I'm pushing everything to dashboard. Let me. I got a bunch of pages open. Clean up some of this stuff. That's fine. That's fine. I'll keep that open. I'll just close out a bunch of this stuff just because we're not using it. Keep your code base tidy so that you don't. Okay, so this is the button, and like we said, it's going to push you to dashboard. Before this was pushing to success, so we no longer need that. So that was the first step. So now the only way you would ever really hit success is if you manually try to go there, which I'll show you right now. So what we did see when we first ran this was that weird error, right? Where it was like, so if you always keep going back, that's going to ask you to reconnect, right? So I'll just hit connect. Those errors, not sure why they come up. Let me see. Uncaught promise. Could be a React thing. I'll address that later. But so I'm going to go ahead and connect my Facebook account. So we saw something weird. So it didn't initially, like, and this is what can sometimes be hard, is that like it didn't pop up for some reason, but now it seems like it did. So it's hard to recreate that. But okay, so essentially, like, we've already bypassed the success page, but there was a couple of things that success was still doing. Oh, that's why. So right now, payments is still. Let's go to post selector and then handle donate. So it is sending you to dashboard, but dashboard doesn't handle current URL, success URL, so dashboard. Right, so dashboard is not, and that's what when you saw when we came back from the payment page, it sent us to the account selection again, and then it sent us to selecting one of the posts. So that's because dashboard isn't handling if selected posts are present. So we want to change that. So let's see. Okay, so in post selector, what we do is select the post param. All right, so we put those posts in the array, and then we send it to dashboard for that of current search for set key. Okay, so so we are appending all the IDs for the selected post, and then we're adding it to the params here. So what should happen is that in dashboard, when we and here's okay, maybe what I'll do here is I'll say here's what you can do. So my Mac is moving slow as hell. Like, it's crazy when you just see the difference between. So let's do this. We want to go to dashboard page, right? So when you add the context, then you can really tell it. So, so select it. Oh, we do have that here. So selected post from URL. So dashboard content. So we are actually already doing that. Dashboard content. So let's see. We pushed all those down. So here, post selector, I don't think I sent down dashboard content. Oh, dashboard content should be taking in handle selected account, fetch post. So this is where we go and we actually get the post. Okay, so if you see here in post selector, we added it there, and then we sent. That's so when dashboard first comes in, when we first come into the dashboard component, we are taking the search terms. That's why. Search terms are not going to be. It won't be it'll be in the URL itself. So actually, so there's two ways to kind of go about this. And this is why, again, I said I like the chat better because you just have more control, in my personal opinion. So we need to make a change to this dashboard. Yeah, okay, we were in the right place. Page, so I'm here. And we want to say update this, update so that search params is taken from the URL. The parameters were added to the URL like this. So coming back to post selector, we can tell it that, and it normally does do it. But we'll just tell it exactly. Set. So actually, search params. Well, maybe I'm wondering though if because I wonder if it actually retained it. So I'm going to do that. But before, let's see what they come back with. Properly handle the URL parameters. The key change needed is to ensure the dashboard page correctly processes the URL parameters that were set in post selector. Here's how to update the post. So you see now it gave me the exact code and update the dashboard content page to handle these parameters. So here's how to update the dashboard page. So we got to go here. You don't have to, but you can see it now. You can actually go ahead and say apply, and it's going to show you exactly what changes it needs to make. And then you hit accept. And then now it's also telling us that we need to make changes to the dashboard content, which is the other page that I was looking at. And you have to say apply here as well. So it's telling it that it needs to get the dashboard params and should show account selector. So this is again why we had to go through and select account again, because we were coming back to dashboard and it wasn't aware that we already selected an account because we have posts that we already want to look at. So this is how dashboard will now know what to do. And then it kind of gives you a rundown. So we made those changes. Now we can come back to here, and you see we have hot loading set up in this project, which again, a pretty cool feature to kind of like get right out the box, which is something that can be a little bit of a, not a headache, but you know, something that you do have to set up manually if you're running your own code from scratch. So things like that just really make things easier, but I'm not sure why it's just sitting here spinning. Let's see. Looks like we have a error somewhere. Did it save it? Looks like we have an error somewhere. Okay, so that seems to maybe have us in some type of loop. Maybe this is a good thing because I can kind of, okay, so that worked, but why isn't dashboard should be working, right? And I think that, okay, so here's, now this is another cool way that I use Claude. Now, again, like I said, you do need to be a bit cautious here because I have run into situations. So I just took a screenshot of my screen of what I'm seeing, and then now you can put that directly into Cursor, and you can communicate now with screenshots to figure out what to debug here. So again, this is essentially it's the same thing like if you were using Claude or you know ChatGPT or other tools like that, where you can kind of like upload an image and talk with that LLM using the image. So it's a cool thing. Like, you know, if you've done any kind of debugging, you know that like sometimes it's hard to like type things out or you don't really want to. A screenshot would just like be much easier. So, and then you say, hey, when it deleted it. My bad. Let me take that again. Capture. Put it in there. So when I try to, or I'll just say dashboard page just spins loading now after the last change. And then I still hit command code base because again, it could be something else somewhere else in the code base that's causing this issue. So it's like, you know, you kind of got to know when to do this and when not to, because it is a more expensive thing because you're taking in your entire code base. But here, I think that this could be something else that's outside of just one page. So, and this is again where I say you do tread with caution. So, let's see what it came back with. So, okay. So okay, let me help fix the loading issue. The problem appears to be in dashboard content. So this is the fix that they have. Key changes will remove token validations is handled by the Facebook API calls directly. Simplified the post fetching logic, added proper state updates after fetching. Okay, so now, like I said, you are giving up a bit of control here. So we're just gonna go ahead and trust what they're saying, huh? I've had good experiences and I've had bad, but so you see how now coding has kind of like moved from, or this is kind of like putting coding less about knowing syntax and more about just knowing what you need to apply and where and why. And then now you become stronger or you can kind of move faster. So still seeing this issue. And this is where and I'm glad that we're doing this live coding here because, like I said, also make sure post reference in line is properly handling the loading state and displaying. Yes, and give me the exact code to apply to post selector because I still see the loading page when I visit dashboard. This time I'm just going to hit enter because I think this is pretty localized to just one file. So we don't want to make that expensive call in Cursor to look at the entire code base. I mean, this code base isn't huge yet, but you can imagine once you get to thousands of files, each file has 100 lines of code. That's a lot of code to kind of like process through. The model can chew through it, but I have noticed that's when you start to see the hallucination and you start to see just like you just start to see it making bad choices and not really being correct. So I just would caution that. So let's come back to the code and let's see what it recommended. So it gave us, here's a complete post selector component with proper handling of management. Okay, so we're going to apply that to post selector. Okay. And we're going to hit accept. And then now let's see what dashboard does. It's still spinning. Yeah, so again, like I said, it can be a bit, let's log out and let's log in and let's log back in. Let's log back in. Grab this. So I think this is where and again, I think there's a lot of great things happening, but like you still need to make sure that you have a core understanding of what's going on in the background. Because if not, this will send you down a rabbit hole and you won't even know how to fix it and where the problem arose from. And I think that that's something that a lot of people aren't really speaking to when it comes to. So we're gonna pause here, right? So loading your Instagram posts. So we know that loading your Instagram posts should be shown on post selector. So it is getting to post selector. So let's head to post selector and let's see why. So okay, so post selector defaults to is loading, right? And then it would only be set to false if we find posts. So essentially what this is telling us is that there are no posts. So let's do something here. This is where we would come into, I believe I have it set up, should. Let's do, see the success page is still working fine, which is interesting. Let's compile. Do I need to set that up? I don't use Brave as my default browser. So let's see what's going on here. And this is one of those things, like I said, where it's the debugging part where I still believe that, don't believe the hype. Like there is still a lot to be desired there and a lot to be fixed there. So let's so it came here because, well, let's do this one. Let's backtrack and let's see. Get payment status. Da, da, da. So when we come into here to dashboard, posts, posts. I want to, let's come here and and why isn't handle update or handle? See, this is where I notice it kind of does a lot of wacky things. And here's what, like I said, I personally just like, hey, this is why we do live sessions, because to me, it's kind of just like it's harder to debug once you've allowed it to kind of like do a lot of different things. So I'm gonna actually like step back and I'm gonna bring my code back to before I added those changes, and let's walk through exactly why this was happening. So now, actually, before we do that, I'm just gonna go ahead and do my own. So now you see it's working fine, right? So let's see why that would happen. I mean, essentially, like we're fine here, but really, well, we're not. So, okay, so let's go back to post selector, and we see here again. We see here again that we're sending it back to the success page. Let's see, we're sending it to dashboard page. So let's do one thing. Let's see what actually came in for search params. I just want to see what came in for search params. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually, so this user is not going to be requested to pay because, so I have to update something in the database where we essentially set this user to like they didn't pay. Let's see. I'm not doing that now. This is live test, so we have to set this to false. You guys can't see this, but I'm using Mongo Compass, which is because I have a Mongo database in the back end. So if I refresh this, come back in here, and we hit that. Now we see it's going to be asked to pay again, right? So let's do this. Let's come in here. It's going to take us to the Stripe page. That's just Stripe's. If you ever use Stripe's API, then they have like essentially like this dummy data for fake cards or whatever, so you can test out your API. So let's go ahead and hit pay, and then now what I want to see is what the search params do come back for dashboard. Now, this is where I actually kind of like. So, Next.js does server side rendering. Sometimes I'm still not entirely sure where the values would show up. Search params. Okay, so yeah, so there was a selected post, and I'm just not handling. I'm not handling it well in dashboard. So I'm just gonna. This is, and I'm glad that we saw this, right? Because, like I said, I just feel like if you keep going down the rabbit hole with Cursor and Claude, like it's great for some things. Like, and I'll show you some things where it knocks it out the park, but like there are some things where you're debugging and it just doesn't know how to decipher between the two things. And I feel like merging files together is not a good practice. So I still think there's a whole lot to desire there. And I think that, is something to kind of like be aware of. So I'm going to come in here. So we know that we are getting it. And we want to say select the post from URL, and then we send it out to dashboard content. But I don't think we're handling. So what I would do is, okay, select. I don't think that we're handling it here. So we need to, if you're familiar with React, you're pushing this down to that. So what we want to say is, if selected account, fetch posts. Okay. Or if this or selected dot length is greater than 0, then we want to go ahead and do this, because that means that they already selected account and we know what the account is. Actually, well, we won't want to do that because we want to make sure. Yeah, good point. Well, dashboard page should have sent down user and latest Facebook, latest. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. But there is no selected account, right? And account select. When we first come in here, see, this is pretty interesting. Right. You see, this is why it's still forcing it there. So we want to, okay, we can fix that after, but for right now, all right, say all that, say all that, say all that. That's why it forced, because we don't have a selected account. Now, what we probably should do is in post selector, we should also append. So here in handle donate, we should also, which we should have. Post selector should have the. Are we not making it aware of the selected account? Probably not. See, now this is, again, like I said, it just gets interesting when you're debugging code from from that was produced by Cursor, because you can really get hung up as to where the problem first arose. So what's happening now is so essentially what we do is we say, all right, select the account, then you show the post for that. So now when we go to pay, we're leaving the page and we're now coming back. So we have to I normally would keep that value in the browser's cache, so that when you come back from Stripe, you just grab it from the cache and then you go ahead and know where you're at. But I could see that being a bit cumbersome. Well, not cumbersome, but I can see, yeah, no, I mean, that's normally how I would handle it. So that's probably what we're going to do here. But so essentially, okay, so like we said, we have those selected posts from URL, but because we still don't know which account was selected, we can't really do much with it. But let's see what we can do with, so we know that latest Facebook session got pushed down from dashboard. That's always going to get pushed down from dashboard. So what we should do, I mean, when we come into post selector, we should be able to okay, let's maybe see if Cursor can fix itself. Okay. The issue is that when a user comes back to dashboard after a payment, the code does not know what account was selected. So, and this is happening here. So because it never knows this one, it's just automatically going to send us back there because account selected is not present. And then you can do Shift Command L to add that to context there. So we are sent back to select an account. Help me fix this. Let's see what it comes back. So I'm going to end pretty soon. Hopefully we can get it working before I end. Okay. Okay, so the problem is that we're not properly handling the previous selected account when returning to the dashboard. Let's modify that. So I'm pretty sure what it might do is initialize a previous selected account. No, because that's actually not how we store it. And this is something else that I don't think that Cursor handles really well either. So I'm looking at the database right now to see exactly what gets stored. Okay, well, it's ID. Instagram account. Okay, so this is saying, so in dashboard content, it's saying if in okay. Oh, we actually do store that. Yeah, maybe I just grab that. Okay. Well, when did it get user? Oh, we already passed down user. Okay. Selected account. I think I see what it's doing here. Verify the account. Okay. So what it's doing is, all right. I think I like this. So what it's doing is, not sure why there's a set is loading here. Yeah, I think it's, and I'm gonna say no. I don't like the change here. Oh, I'm gonna say reject file. So I think all we really need to do, I forgot that I'm already bringing down the user. So if I'm bringing down the user, then we should just be looking at that, because we should have an idea of what was selected through that. So select an account or user. Then we can go ahead and fetch change this. No, I don't want to do that. Yeah, so as you guys see, Cursor isn't going to give you the answers as much as people are letting on to believe, but it definitely does help a little bit. So really what you want to do is, the issue is that because when I select an account, I'm not saving it anywhere. So what needs to happen is, because in an account selector, I'm just setting it, set collect out. I'm not like, okay, update session. So we do add it to the session, but I'm kind of just like, whatever. So I do kind of get their logic of the latest Facebook session should have that. So let's see if maybe I just do this. First validate the tokens because we don't come in here. So let's do that. I'll just do it in here to use is equal to, if not, or no. Is true or not. If it is true, then we use selected account. If not, let me use latest Facebook sessions dot, because this is going to, it just did a bunch of stuff that I didn't tell it to do. So we need the Instagram accounts. It's gonna have two. Are those the same values? No, they're not. So selected account is not there. See, that's the thing, we don't know. We do have both accounts. Selected account, selected Instagram account. Oh, okay. So we do have that. All right. So what do we need? Instagram ID. That's all we really need from it. So, okay. So we just need the ID. Const IG account ID is equal to, so it's either no, we want to do either this. So it's easy. Selected. Then it's going to be .id. If not, then it's going to be latest dot selected Instagram account. Selected Instagram. So we're storing that value in the database. And then now I just want to come in here, do that. Okay. Actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this. I will do it twice, whatever. Shouldn't do this. This is a code smell, is what they call it. But I'm gonna do this. Is equal to IG account. Yep, and we could just make that IG account. I wonder if I should just put this up higher somewhere. Yeah, I should just put this up here so that it's, I forget the exact term, but so that it's here. Yeah. Okay. So, uh, um, not really sure. Fetch posts either included or removed the dependency. I'm not sure what that means. Now, this has been a useful case for the recommendations is when it knows exactly what the issue is. Why do I have to include it? Yeah. Accept that. Okay, but everything else should stay the same. Yeah, that's why it's kind of just like, okay, I get why that's happening. We just we should just basically say, yeah, that makes sense. Selected account. Wait, why? I don't really like that. I think that I can just like, we should just always run fetch post, right? Like, Let's see. All right, so whatever, first post. Oh, we're doing that. Saying okay, but now what we need to push down here is selected post from URL. Well, and then we also should. Do we check? Oh, we don't check here. We check content. So we did that check, and then now we need to come down here and this is gonna come down. All right. All right. So we're gonna bring that down. This is gonna come down, and then we want to say post should come down. So initialize select the post. All right. So this should work. All right. All right. Fetch post before. Can I access fetch post before initializing? Yeah. I'm doing a screenshot thing again because I didn't really like what they were doing. Loading dashboard. All right, we're gonna drop soon. As you see, this is the wonders of coding live. That's what it is. You have to have the fetch post before. So now these are things where I do see add value. The definition has to be before the use effect. Yes. Okay, so now let's get rid of that. It's not being used. Okay, now it's loading. And now are we gonna be back to this issue of it just aimlessly loading? So now the reason why we would get that is if there's no posts coming into post selector. So what I'm gonna do is I want to I just want to see what came back for posts. If anything, are posts actually coming back? No, posts are not coming back, so that's why we're sitting here loading. And why wouldn't posts come back? Let's try. Yeah, it doesn't count. This should be. This should happen before this. All right. So really, regardless, we don't even care. This should just be, we should just always grab fetch posts, and it should be the IG account. No. IG account ID. Because this is going to do. This should just be account. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why it keeps removing the validation, but that should work. Cool. So, all right. So, okay. So, it came in there, and it now knows where it should be. It removed some validation that I had in there. Let's go back to change account. Let's make sure that this is still functioning. Okay, that's functioning. All right, so now we'll do that, right? And we're just gonna pick this one. Now remember, oh, so now I need to go back and I need to change this user's payment status to not paid. So we come back in here, and now I actually paid again. Put in 10. Support us. We'll put in the dummy numbers. Whatever. We'll hit pay. So now this should take us back to the dashboard. We have the selected URL. We know which account. It should it should come back with the same posts selected before we went to pay, selected still, so that you can just go ahead and copy the link. Okay, it brought us back. Perfect. So now we can just copy this link. Cool. So we got that working. So essentially now we can get rid of the success page, but I'll hand that for another time. But as you see, I think Cursor definitely has its benefits and has its drawbacks, and there's things that it does really well and there's things that it doesn't do really well. So I think that for anybody that's getting started with it, it's definitely a good tool to at least just like get something up and running. But once you start getting into more complex logic, more files, more nuances to the code base, you start to see the issues that you can run into. So, definitely something to kind of bear in mind. But thanks for jumping in, and we're going to stop it right there. So we'll do more of these. I'll do more of these live coding sessions and kind of see how people like it. But cool.